Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Abuja, reaching you from the studios of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Channel 5, Abuja. Now to our discussion. You know the world is said to be a global village, where distance and isolation have been reduced to the barest minimum by the advent of technology through the use of social media. Today we'll be looking at the power of networking and building valuable relationships in today's world. We have a guest with us here in person of Chijoke Otipa. You are a life coach, a physiotherapist, and lots more. So we are talking about the power of networking and creating valuable relationship in today's world. Let's start with the world as a global village. What do you understand by networking?
So for me, I actually give networking my own definition. And I would say that networking is the sum total of all the processes involved in connecting with people, transacting value with people, and building immediate and potential mutually beneficial relationships. So we're talking about we're talking about the connection. We're talking about initiating the relationship. We're talking about people. It's very important to understand that you're dealing with human beings and you need to know how to connect with human beings. You need to know how to build relationship with human beings. And we're talking about building. It's also very important to know that this is something that has to be built and nurtured over time, not just initiated, it has to be built. And then we're talking about immediate and potential. So, in the sense that it's not just something that has the capacity to transform you now, there's also a possibility that the transformation is going to come in the future. So, it could be now, it could be tomorrow, it could be in the next 5 years or 10 years, but the benefits are surely there. And then we're talking about mutually beneficial. So networking is a two-way thing. A lot of people tend to see it as a one-directional thing where they get to get something from somebody because that person is influential or something like that. So they just go to the relationship with the mindset of let me go and take, right? But this time around, it's a two-way street. I'm giving and I'm receiving. So it's a two-way thing. So in the world today, it's very, very important because we are in the digital and connected economy. We can't do without people. We can't do without ourselves. Every human being has potential that can be of benefit to you. And I tell people this a lot. You are just one person away from your next biggest opportunity. So the way we are sitting here, we have capacities that can redefine our next moment. So that is, briefly how I would define
Networking.
So
All right.
we're talking about the importance of networking. It's not just about one way thing. It's about all of us are benefiting from it. So how would you now explain the importance of networking in your personal and your professional space?
Okay, so good. I'm really glad that you asked that question. Very fantastic one. Now, personally and professionally, I'm a huge benefactor of networking. I am here today because of networking. I was invited by a senior friend of mine. We've been meeting in many powerful conferences and events in Abuja. And he reached out to me and relayed this opportunity to me. Wouldn't have been possible if I didn't connect with him. Generally, on a personal side, I tend to be happier knowing that I have a lot of people in my space. It's backed up by research that people who are more connected tend to be happier people. People who have a lot of people in their spaces tend to be happier people. Because and another thing too is in terms of insight, ideas, powerful premium information. I do not struggle to get information. Why? I have a lot of high value people in my network. So most times when I throw a question into the open, I trust the kind of information I'm going to be getting back. And not just that, the likelihood that you are going to get the right answers to what you are asking for, the likelihood that you are going to get the right opportunities that you are requesting for is there. So on the professional side of it, I am a life coach, a public speaker, a corporate trainer, and I'm a physiotherapist. Now, for a lot of the things that I do, a lot of the people I've been able to work with who actually come to pay for my services, a lot of the things that I do, my clients come largely from referrals. I work as a physiotherapist. I do home service physiotherapy, and most of my patients currently that I'm seeing came from direct referrals from medical doctors, and I have been intentional about building these relationships because I know the outcome. So I had a patient recently that I'm currently seeing, and the person who brought me over told me something. I didn't ask you so many questions. I'm not interested in knowing anything more about you because the person who referred you to me.
I said everything.
Yeah, exactly. So he told me, you came highly recommended. He kept on saying that same thing. You came highly recommended. I know the person who recommended you. And that person happens to be a doctor from the National Hospital where I worked. So, this has been a general thing for me. It's been just a whole lot of benefits.
So there's a connection between your personal and then the professional.
Exactly.
But before I ask you the next question, you are so many things in one bag. So how do you juggle all those things to get that balance?
Oh, beautiful. First of all, I actually do not believe that balance exists. I think balance is a myth.
So you just go with the flow.
Yes. Now, balance is a concept on its own.
Okay.
It's just like perfection. Perfection doesn't exist.
Yes.
Perfection is a mirage.
Yes.
The more you get closer to what you think is perfection, the more you realize that's another happy. So for me, I just choose to do what I love. Then there's something I do. I do not allow these things to overwhelm me. I go with the flow most times, but I also space out these things. I'm interested in many things, and I am unashamedly, very gifted at many things.
Underlined.
Exactly.
Underlined.
Yes.
So I do not choose to hide any of my passions to please people, or just so I avoid the concept of what people think, jack of all trades, a master of none, which I do not believe. So I just do what I have to do. I kind of triple the effort that I put in because this guy is doing just one thing. He's going to do that one thing for the rest of his life. I am doing like 5 or 6. So I need to multiply my own effort. So I just do what I have to do. I space out my learning, and I take out the time to also interact with people in other spaces. So that really goes a long way in helping. There's so many other things I do, but
okay. With your analysis, that means networking is very, very powerful because of the referrals you've been going through. All right. Then how do you initiate and nurture this relationship?
Beautiful. Now, when it comes to initiating relationships, it's not hard. There are 2 things that I would say you need to understand at the basic level. Number one is networking is not about you. If you want to initiate and sustain a relationship effectively, you have to remove the all about me syndrome. And that's what a lot of people usually have, when it comes to networking relationships and, getting attracting certain people into your life, because you begin to think, okay, this is about what I'm going to benefit from this relationship. And when you start thinking like that, it limits your scope in that relationship. It blinds you from actually seeing what you as a person can give. So you should be thinking of what can I bring to the table. Now, there's something called, that takes me to the second thing I'll talk about, and it's the law of reciprocity. So when you do stuff for people, they would want to reciprocate. They would want to do stuff for you back. I had a certain experience recently. I just gave somebody a ride in the vehicle that I used to come to the secretariat. And funny enough, the person that I said, come in, let's go, was the letter I was going to submit was going to end up in his own hands.
Oh, wow.
So when I came down, because he was like, oh, that's where I'm going to. That's my office. When I came down, he literally took me by the hand and jumped all the protocol and went to the final stage. So that's how reciprocity works. I never asked for such favor, but he did it because he was feeling obligated to. And now, you asked how to initiate and sustain, and there's something I teach people, because I teach networking and I equally have a book on networking, and there's something I teach people. Now, this is how to initiate. When you are initiating relationships, whether offline or online, you want to first of all know the person you are connecting with. Who is that person? Indicate interest in the other party. Now, find out what they do. Do your assignments. Find out what they do. Find out what they love. Connect with them from that angle. You can also decide to find out where you connect with them. So if I am here NTA is a point of contact for me.
Yeah.
You know, so I know that okay, we both are meeting on the NTA, and we can have conversations based on that. So I can chip in a conversation on that matter. Now, you let's say I ask you questions and I find out that you are an educator or something like that. I am also an educator. I am very, very, very passionate about education and the education industry in Nigeria. And once I discover that, it's going to be my point of contact. So I'm going to use that as a lead way to enter into that conversation. And then when it comes to sustaining relationships, there's something that people need to understand. It's not every relationship that you need to sustain. It's a lot of stress and burden when you want to sustain every relationship.
We'll keep going, but we need to take a break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we continue with this discussion. Well, we've been discussing with Chijoke about networking and how important it is to build relationship. We're going to short break, and when we come back, we continue with this conversation. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon each and every one of us. It's another fantastic Friday evening, and you're welcome to NTA Channel 5 Abuja.
First of all, you train yourself, you educate yourself, then you educate your family, and then the community at large.
Fundamentals of Islam Live, showing 7:30 p.m. every Friday on NTA Channel 5 Abuja, the Unity Station. Join us.
You're welcome back. The program is still Good Morning Abuja, coming to you from the Unity Station. We've been discussing networking and how it can impact our lives with Mr. Chijoke. He is a life coach. So, we're discussing.
Before he continues,
yes,
I want to use our social media space in Nigeria. Are we able to initiate and nurture relationship in that space?
Yes.
A healthy relationship.
Okay, so I would say that a lot of the people that I have in my network are not people that I met in person. They are not people that I've met physically. Most of them are people I met online. A lot of people that I also know in person, I met them online before we connected in person. And so it's very, very feasible, and it's also very important because there's a rapid transition. The pandemic has taught us a lot of things that we can basically live our entire lives without having to do all the physical stuff. So it's very possible. And how do you now initiate? How do you nurture? They're basically the same thing. You may not need to be learn all the tactics and all that. What you need to do is to be a better person. So you need to be able to understand the things I've said initially. It's not about you. When you are trying to reach out to people, always try to see how you can add value to their lives. Every human being has a need. Every human being has, and people don't just have one problem. So there's always a problem I have that you can solve. There's always a problem that you have that I have a solution for. So when I'm connecting with you, I should be thinking in my mind, how do I get to know more about this person so I can find out where my solution fits into their problem? With that, it's easy for you to build a very, very strong bond with anybody you are connecting with, online or offline.
So a word of advice to people out there that are thinking of going into what you're doing.
Okay, now let me throw some light into this because some people usually try to they try to find out what's the difference. I get asked that a lot. What's the difference between networking and network marketing? Networking as a business. Now, network marketing thrives on the fact that we are all connected, that people are able to make human connections to make business profit. But when it comes to networking, it's simply about connecting with people. So when it comes to this, anybody can. Anybody can. You have that. Build your confidence. Overcome every self-doubt. Overcome every limiting belief. Overcome anything that is making you feel less of yourself. You can gradually work on that. Start exposing yourself. It's called exposure therapy in coaching. Start exposing yourself little by little. Connect with one person. Connect with two. Introduce yourself to three people. Attend events where you can stand up and introduce yourself in the group and all that. And before you know what's happening, you start getting used to it. And you get to that point, you've attained a level of mastery, and you can always do that.
Wow,
so
thank
much,
you, thank you.
Ijeke.
You spoke a lot. And I
lot
think
and a lot,
networking is something that makes life very easy for us. Thank you
so
for
much.
coming to Good Morning
Thank you.
Abuja.
Well, we've been discussing with Chijioke Okipa. He is a life coach, and we've been looking at, the power of networking and how valuable it can be to build relationships. As Amina said earlier on, it is a global village. You don't know the next person sitting next to you. He is your biggest opportunity. So learn to give, not just thinking about yourself. It's about giving and taking.